And the 23rd District carries a beautiful part of the central part of our state of California. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
You bet. We appreciate it. You are full of opinions about the high-speed rail project, which we just found out in just this early stretch, this small stretch that really impacts your district. The costs are projected to go way up. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, through a lot of good investigative journalism, quite frankly, some Freedom of Information Act, there are some whistleblowers that are actually coming out now. We found out in the last 6 months it's about 8 years overdue. It's a good $2 billion, $3 billion over budget, and now we got a report that it's another $3 billion on top of that. So the costs are exploding. The executives are leaving, and right in the middle of significant cost overruns, the key executives are being changed out. It takes a long time to replace them. Something's going really wrong on the inside of high-speed rail, and so I'm calling for a high-speed rail audit by the legislature on June 30th.
Right. And let's point out again, this increase in billions, that's just on this first small portion of the project.
Started out $6 billion. Yeah. Then it became $8 billion, and now it's $11 billion, and that's in the relatively easy section of Central California. When you get into the big urban areas, I think the costs will just explode.
And you've been calling for an audit, and it's just interesting that this is the people's money, and yet they're not very public about it. Brian Kelly was just named the new head of the High-Speed Rail Authority. He says, quote, "The project needs greater transparency." It sounds like he ought to be in your camp.
Well, look, look, whether you like high-speed rail or not, we think it's a good or a bad idea. It's the single largest public works project in the history of California, and it is in serious trouble. And I think leadership honestly ought to point it out, not just be transparent, but admit that this is on a trajectory for real failure. And I think an audit is the responsible thing to do, and I think we have to dig down and find out the details, because Central California has a lot to lose if it fails, and the city's being ripped up. We have lots of anticipated development and other things that we're thinking about, and yet the promise of high-speed rail, I think, is illusory.
Before we run out of time, I wish we had more. Just talk to me about the politics of this. Governor Brown, he's going to be leaving us now. He has been the driving force in making this happen. Gavin Newsom, we try to get an interview from him, and it's just crickets about this. What does the future look like after Brown departs? Does your job become easier?
Yeah. Look, I really don't know. I think the politics of this have got to be set aside right now, and we've got to audit it. We've got to dig down inside. The governor, whoever that's going to be, and legislature, whoever that's going to be, really has to recognize it's in serious trouble and pay attention to the details. And an audit is what I think we have to do, because this project really is in the midst of failure. And I think that that comes with huge consequences for California.
Well, politics have maybe kept it from having an audit so far, but we will find out.
We will try.
It is great to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the
Come
time.
back and talk to us again about this.
I will.
We have been keeping a close eye on this project. It's